Hello, everyone. My name is PM Kester. I am a mother of two, a former educator, a public health scientist, and the host of How to Take a Break, the podcast. It is my pleasure today to lead this session on the game-changing power of taking a break. So as you can see, we have a short agenda because this is a short breakout session that I hope packs a lot of information. We're going to start off with a little background on my background into taking a break, my aha moment that led me to this. I'm also going to talk about 3 different types of breaks that I feel that everyone has at sometimes, and they're probably the most important types of breaks. We can go back and forth about that. And finally, I'm going to close things out with how to incorporate taking a break into classroom practice, whether it's for you as an educator or for you to incorporate with your students. I also added something on for a Q&A. We should be able to do something where you can offer up some questions and I can interact right after this. But if not, there is a slide on here. So just feel free to send me an email and I will be happy to entertain any questions or comments. All right, a little introduction. That's a sad little person right there, but we're going to start this off a la Sophia Petrello. Picture it, Duluth, September 2017. I will always remember that month and that day because it was the one time in my adult life where I thought I was going to die. And there have been some scary moments. If you have driven in Atlanta or driven with my mother, hopefully she's not watching. I've had some moments, but that was the first time in my life where I was actually afraid to go to sleep because I really thought I would not wake up. And I went into a spiral that a lot of us do. And I made the pivotal mistake of Googling my symptoms. And as you know, in medical crisis, Google is not your friend. I was struggling trying to breathe and I did the Google search. I came up with heart attacks, panic attacks, mental illness, to the point I was like, well, maybe I am going crazy. Am I going crazy? I am having to think about breathing, and that doesn't seem normal. So I went back and forth on that for quite a bit until I finally bargained with God, and I was like, please let me wake up. Because I was so afraid that when I closed my eyes, it was going to be the last time. The next day, after describing my chest pains and inability to breathe to 2 primary care doctors, I was told immediately to rush to the emergency room because they thought I was having a heart attack. And I'm gonna give you a little background on heart attacks in women. According to the American Heart Association, women's most common heart attack symptom is chest pain, which I was having, coupled with the breathing issues. Also from the AHA, but women are somewhat more likely than men to experience some of the other common symptoms, particularly shortness of breath, nausea, vomiting, and back or jaw pain. It was this combination of shortness of breath, chest pain, and nausea that pushed the doctor to ask me to go to the emergency room, whereas I would go in, immediately get rushed to the back, but met by a doctor that said, you're not having a heart attack, but there's some things we need to work on. I left the ER with more questions than I did answers at that time. Fast forward to months later, after the emergency room visit and subsequent visits to a pulmonologist, a primary care doctor, and a cardiologist, that's 3 folks, and an orthopedic specialist, 4, there was a pop-up, an aha moment, recognizing that my body had been giving me all these signs all along that I needed to take a break. I needed to sit down. I needed to take a rest. And because I would not do it, it decided it was going to give me a break anyway. Boom, hard reset. After I did this work, sat down with a therapist, sat down with all of my doctors, I recognized how many times in life we don't take a break to take care of ourselves, to do the things that we need to calm our overwhelmed selves down. And that's why we have so many of us, especially young Black women, who are getting diagnosed with more stress-related illnesses younger in life. At that time, I was 36 years old. So from having that moment where my body decided to give me a hard reset, I began on a series of breaks in my life. Break is a noun, is an interruption of continuity or uniformity. I had to interrupt some continuity. And from assessing the breaks, I have found that the biggest breaks that I have needed or have taken were a break to work on myself, a break to be heard, and last but not least, a break to rest. And I'm sure we can all agree on that. On the following slides, I'm going to share a summary of these breaks. And at the end, we're going to do a little homework assignment on ways that you can incorporate these breaks in your classroom or your own day-to-day life. Break number one, working on self. Oh yes, that's self-work. You know, if you're on social media, you hear about, oh, I got to do the work on the self. I have to do the work on self. What does that mean? What happens if we had the time to work on ourselves? Get the education, get the job, start the hobby. So many times we talk ourselves out of things before we even start. And a lot of times I find that's where the stress buildup begins, where we're constantly denying ourselves on this break to do something that would actually benefit us in lieu of keeping up with the status quo. This is how my household is run. This is how I need to do things. I'm probably not going to get the job anyway, so why even apply? School is going to be so hard. Why should I apply for that? Therapy, what are they going to think about me if I go to therapy? So we don't take that break to do this work on ourselves that would better us and better our mental health and overall our physical health as well. I'm going to give you some stats. According to the Urban Institute in 2015, 12% of adults in the United States aged 25 and older held advanced degrees, master's, doctoral, or professional degrees. These 25.4 million people constituted 37% of individuals who had completed bachelor's degrees. As a married mother of two at the time when I was thinking of getting a master's degree, the idea of going back to school both thrilled and terrified me. And it mostly terrified me because there were all these conversations about what I couldn't do. One of the biggest was, you're not going to have time for that. But when you prioritize, you make getting a break for working on yourself a priority, you begin to see that there really is time in the day. There's time in the day for 30 minutes, an hour of homework, if that's what you want to do. If getting this education is a priority or this goal, is looking at the schedule. One of the activities I often give people that say they don't have time to take a break is a worksheet, but you don't need a worksheet. You can write it down yourself. Write down, what does 9 to 5 look like? For a lot of educators, it might be 8 to 3 in the classroom doing things, but is there like an hour-long break? Can you fit in 15 minutes of that to read an assignment for your master's degree? Work on part of that project 15 to 30 minutes in between grading the papers and doing all the other things that you have to do for your job. What about a little bit before work? I know we don't like getting up early, but can you take that time before, after, in the middle? Look at that day and find if you have the time to work on yourself, to make that self-work a priority. Do you have time for lunch break therapy? Do you have time after work, 15, 30 minutes? What does that 4 to 8 p.m. block look like to go on Indeed, USA Jobs, or one of the other sites and apply for a job? Do you have time, write it down again, to get educational pursuits going, work on that certificate, work on that master's or that doctorate degree? Same thing, do you have time before going to bed to journal so you can have that pouring out of emotions onto the page? Break number 1, working on self. Break number 2, taking a break to be heard. Taking a break to be heard. There's a 2014 Forbes article where the author writes 5 reasons women resist investing in themselves. One of the biggest things that is in that article, almost like an underlying theme, is this big deep dive into the confidence gap. Saying that a lot of times women do not have this confidence to get in front of a group and share. Even though there's a flip side to that, we find that women do have that confidence, but so many times when women share, and I'm even gonna spread that out to say when people of color, because we too suffer immensely, and there's been other research that deep dives into it from the confidence gap, when we do share, we feel that we're not being heard. People are trying to belittle our background. They're trying to say we don't know what we're talking about. We don't have the skill set. And so it gets to the point where that confidence gap widens, where we don't speak up because we feel we're not going to be heard. They're not going to take us seriously. We let our doubt and insecurities stop us because of how we have been treated. That, in a nutshell, is the confidence gap. So that is also another reason why you need to find some time in your day to take a break to be heard. Because again, you will find that stress is an underlying issue for everything. And things that are often left unsaid stay in here, cause you stress, and then you end up in the emergency room. And that is a worst case scenario, but taking a break to be heard. We're going to go into how the homework assignment on how that can happen. After break number 3, get some rest. So that is the one that I feel everyone knows about, getting some rest. How many of you like to take naps? I can't see your show of hands, but I imagine everyone has their hand up, right? It took almost having a stroke in 2017 for me to truly look at all the leave that I often left sitting on the table. At that time, I had 140 hours of sick leave, 140 hours, 120 hours of vacation leave. My excuse was I was sitting on that for just in case something came up with the kids. Or as the kids got older, my excuse was that I'm sitting on it because once they're finally out of the house and they graduate, then I can use that leave to travel the world and go off on little trips for a weekend or for a week. I get more vacation time in because I can just kind of use all this leave. No. Almost having a stroke showed me that PTO, that prepare the others, that being a ghost out of the office, is there for a reason. It is there to make us take a break. And a lot of times when I say take a break to get some rest, I talked about naps, and there's rest versus sleep. Now, rest, sleep can be a type of rest, right? That's our body winding down, and we kind of shut off the machine and we let it recharge and rebuild. But also there's some recharge in just sitting in stillness. We rest by just kind of sitting. We can meditate and rest, or we can just lay down, not get up, and watch TV, like something peaceful, relaxing that makes us laugh. That also can be rest. Quick pandemic story. My therapist actually, when I was telling her I was having issues with sleep during this pandemic, because we're still in it. It's been a crazy past couple of years. And my homework assignment from her was on Saturday morning, instead of getting up when my body wanted me to get up on Saturday at 6:30, was just to lay there. Just to lay there. And I tell you, it was hard. It was the most difficult assignment ever at first, because I was fighting something in my body that was like, I feel like I should be busy. Because, you know, sometimes there can be some shame connected to this idea of taking a break for rest. And so I had to push past that and be like, just really start asking myself these questions. Well, where do I really have to go? Like, is it really so important for me to get up and go get some detergent? I'm not out of detergent. Am I even really washing clothes today? Why do I feel like I have to get up like right now? Why can't I go in the afternoon and get this? Or do I really need to get up and start like vacuuming? The floor is still going to be dirty. You know, it's not a time for me to get up. Why can't I just rest? And that is why we kind of have to play these mental gymnastics, these games with taking a break when it is tied to some of these key things in our life, rest being one of us, to tell ourselves that we do have time. The house is not burning down. You have time to lay down. You have time to meditate. You have time to sit in stillness for like 5 to 15 minutes or half a day if you feel you need to. Schedule flexibility. Like I said, with the PTO, you have time. What's keeping you from taking those hours that were offered oftentimes in your recruitment? They always let you know how many PTO days and sick leave days you have. Why are you letting them pile up? Please go to the doctor. Please go on vacation. If your job offers a flexible schedule where you can be off every other Friday, why are you not taking it? Look into that, take that break. Find innovative solutions to taking a break. Maybe you can't leave and go on vacation. Maybe you take a staycation and decide you're going to put your phone on airplane mode and just order Grubhub or something while you're there, and that'll be your vacation. I just came from Hawaii at the end of July. My sister could not really leave to come with me or go anywhere else. She had me download Google Duo while she was drinking wine at home so she could see the ocean, so she could see parts of Hawaii like she was there. It was an innovative solution. Don't laugh until you try it. So I'm going to give you 3 breakaways, because I offer breakaways a lot of times on my podcast. These are things that I feel like I have gleaned from listening back to the episodes, especially those when I interview people. So looking back through my notes, these are 3 breakaways that I believe you can use in incorporating breaks into your classroom, either for you or your students, or both. I think everyone wins. So breakaway number 1, schedule 15 to 30 minutes a day into your schedule to work on a project of your choosing. So that kind of goes back to our self-work break, right? Maybe you can set it up when your kids come back from recess. Maybe you can set this up yourself before the kids come in for the day, where you put 15 to 30 minutes on your calendar. Journal, read, apply for jobs. Now, don't do it in the classroom if your school has a policy against it. Don't get me in trouble. Do some art, apply for grad school. And it might be something you can incorporate with your students. Put in self-work break into their daily schedule. And it's something that y'all can work on as a group, where maybe you have the kids, this is our 15 minutes of journaling. Maybe 15 minutes is too much. I know we don't have time. Schedules are tight in the day. 5 minutes, 5-minute quick reading break. 5-minute quick art break for everyone, you too, teachers. 5-minute journaling. Breakaway number 2. This goes hand in hand with being heard, taking a break to be heard. Incorporate weekly sound off sessions. It's a little therapy for everyone, and you can set some guidelines. I know this can get testy in classroom settings. but maybe have like student sound off. And every week you have like a little 20-30-minute session where the students sound off on something that has got on their nerves or something that they just really want someone to know. And I think that it will change because you will find students that will speak up that have never spoken up before. For you, as the adult in the classroom, it might encourage you to host something where maybe you host a session like that with other teachers, or you suggest this for the principal or the dean at your college, where you have these 30-minute sound off sessions and just kind of watch how attitudes shift because now you feel like you have a voice. Finally, breakaway number 3 goes hand in hand with rest. And I think this is something great that can be done in classrooms, which is schedule 15 to 30 minutes a day of stillness. You can see where in some schools they are incorporating yoga into the classroom or meditation. Hand in hand, 15 minutes of stillness. Teachers, students, all staff can benefit from this. And again, it does not have to be 15 minutes. I know we're on a time crunch. It can be 5 minutes of students and staff doing breathing, if possible. I know this sounds like a lot, but I want us to broaden our mind on what we could do. You have the time. Thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed this speaking opportunity. I welcome all feedback. I know I was possibly all over the place. I was trying to mitigate recording this, but again, I have been PM Kester. Feel free to reach me at the email provided, thekestergroup@gmail.com. How to Take a Break, the podcast is available on all podcast platforms. If you go into Google, type in How to Take a Break, type in PM Kester, it should come right up. And you can listen, subscribe, leave a review. Also, I am on social media at PM Kester on Instagram. That is the best social media place to reach me because if you go into the link in the bio, it gives you to my webpage. I also have break-taking tools. So some of that self-work. I have a 30-day intention setting journal. I also have I Am Open to Love, where you do the self-work on loving yourself so that you can better love others. Because I think that is important. Again, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure. And I hope everyone enjoyed this presentation and is enjoying the conference. Thanks.